Hello neighbors, this is Christopher Bradford. I'm reaching out again to give you guys an update on what's happened around the Big Basin water issue that we've all been working so hard to correct. Recently, Supervisor McPherson and his office released a notice, and I had a phone call with one of his staff members, JM, who provided a bunch of information about the notice, kind of expanding on the details and lending a broader understanding of what is happening. So the state is moving forward with receivership, or attempting receivership, for Big Basin water. What that means for us is that a third party from outside of that company, appointed by the state, is going to basically manage the company and spend the resources that the company earns in the ways the state deems are necessary. So the receiver isn't the county at the moment, right? The county, rather the state itself, is going to pick a receiver. That's probably going to be a private entity, and that private entity will hopefully, according to what the county wants, steer Big Basin Water toward a merger again with SLV Water District. And that would provide us with a public partner, as the SLV Water District is a public entity that could receive infrastructure funds and could help us close the gap between where Big Basin Water is now, infrastructure-wise, and where we want it to be, which is delivering safe, potable water, consistently to everyone. This is mostly good news. It's not as simple as they enter into receivership and all the problems go away. And of course, there's going to be a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of interaction between the public and the receiver, the person who receives this mantle. We're all going to need to remain active and to remain engaged. This isn't a solution that you flick a button and everything's okay. There's still going to be a ton of work necessary to make sure that things happen in the correct way. Some community members have expressed concern because of previous experiences they've had with SLV Water District when they were customers there before moving to our area, about how the spending will occur and whether the spending that needs to happen will be focused primarily on our area and the issues that are happening with Big Basin Water. So we think it's going to be very important that a special election be held and that a member of our community, someone who has skin in the game, is elected to the water board for SLV Water District to represent our interests. Just like with the county, it's so important that the public entities that represent us, are guided by people who live here and who care about the results here primarily. And that's not to say anything negative about the persons on the water district board right now. I'm sure they're fine people. It's not a matter of being negative about them. It's about being positive about what we need as a community and making sure that those needs are met. And representation is the best way. It's very difficult to represent a group effectively when you don't have a deep understanding of what that group is going through and what their needs are. And we want someone on that board who's aligned with our needs. So if this does move forward in this direction, I myself and the rest of the team of concerned residents here would definitely prefer we make an effort to have a member of this community on that water board, because representation is important. This solution of receivership that the county is proposing does not cover the sewer system. That's unfortunate because the sewer system is a huge issue that needs to be dealt with. Where the sewer is currently placed and where the overflow happens is right next to a waterway. It affects everyone in the community, regardless of whether you are specifically on that sewer system. In my conversation with Mr. McPherson's team yesterday, I made it clear how important it was that the sewer system be taken under receivership in this way too, if possible. And it was evident in that conversation that having the process already in place for one portion of the business would make it easier to move forward with that process with another section. So the sewer issue is not solved, and unfortunately there's no solution in place for it just yet. So we're still in the fight here to move things forward and get that particular issue solved. So please don't think that this letter from McPherson's office means everything's done and we're good to go. It doesn't mean that. It does mean, however, that our state elected officials have been listening, and it's good to see that they've been working forward for us and making progress. You know, words are words. You know, we need results on the ground, and it looks like we're going to get some. You know, so I would like to commend all of them, from Congressman Panetta at the federal level, and of course Senator Laird and Assemblyperson Gail Pellerin, and Supervisor McPherson. You know, it's great to see that these folks are coming together right now to get the job done and move things forward here. We have to keep the pressure on. Government responds to pressure, responds to voices, responds to organization. So we can't stop here. We have to continue to organize, continue to make our voices heard. Speaking of making our voices heard, very shortly there's going to be a meeting with the CPUC about a potential rate increase for Big Basin Water. Now, I know many residents may find that the idea of a rate increase without adequate levels of service doesn't make sense, but it's probably, in my opinion, a good thing in the long run, because they are going to need increased funding to fix infrastructure, regardless of whether they get money from the federal level. Sometimes it takes time to get from up there down to the practical levels where we are. So them having increased funds would be good for us all infrastructure-wise as they move forward. And because of the potential receivership, you know, we can potentially be sure that those increased funds go towards the things that we want them to, you know, like infrastructure repair, and, you know, and not just paying back old debts or salaries or whatever it may be. Definitely come and attend that meeting. We need to be present together and make our voices heard. Of course, it's with the CPUC. It's going to be at the Boulder Creek Golf Course on the 3rd of April at 6 p.m. You know, I'll be there, and hopefully I'll see you all there as a neighborhood, as a community of neighborhoods, you know, looking forward to making positive change and participating in what's happening, you know, with our water. To continue to get information like this, to stay updated, I would encourage you to go to the website customersofbbw.com. You can sign up to get alerts, emails about things like this water meeting that are coming up, so that you stay informed. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. Just a quick summary of what's happening is that potentially Big Basin Water will enter into receivership. That person or entity, you know, that runs the receivership will guide how increased monies are spent that are received either publicly or, you know, through the business itself. We have a potential rate increase to vote on April 3rd at the golf course clubhouse at 6 p.m. We should all be present for. The sewer is not covered in this receivership. That's another thing we have to continue fighting for. Big takeaway, of course, is that our efforts are working, right? Being organized, connecting, communicating to our representatives and making it clear what our needs are closing the gap and making things happen. So thank you so much for doing this with us and continuing to participate and be present. It makes a difference. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon.